Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDN TV Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button and be the first to get notifications.
What the president has done unconsciously is that it is a partial dispensation of justice. Ogoni Bill of Rights is the Bible of the Ogoni movement, represented by MOSOP. And so all the people who died in defense of the Ogoni Bill of Rights. I know the president is well-meaning in what he had done. That is the presidential pardon. I think the government is aware of the mistake it made in the past. And that is a way of making restitution. Making restitution for the terror committed in Ogoni, the human rights violation committed in Ogoni by the military state in Nigeria. So, but in addressing that problem, the way he has done may even create more problems. If he thought that that will unite Ogoni people and give them a sense of belonging and a sense of justice, that will not perhaps happen. You know, we had the Ogoni 9 and the Ogoni 4, that is Ogoni 14, and that is Ogoni 13. And that has been the position of MOSOP. And also in accordance with agreement reached under the auspices of the Oputa panel, involving all the families, or the representatives of the families of Ogoni, Ogoni 13, that is Ogoni 9 and Ogoni 4. So when you address whatever it is, whether wrongly or rightly, the issue of the Ogoni 13, Ogoni 9, and you don't address the issue of the Ogoni 4, I don't think justice will be served. If you were in the family, maybe you were the son of one of the children of the Ogoni 4, how will you feel that they've been completely ignored in that quest for justice? I work with all of them, the leaders. I'm not talking of the 13, and they were well-meaning people, peace-loving people. They were not violent people at all. You see, they meant well for Ogoni, but what happened is difficult to explain. So their death is something that remains very painful in the minds of the Ogoni people. Some of us who work with these people, we feel pained at every moment. And as I have said, I have always avoided making public statements on this issue. Because when you look at the gruesome circumstances under which they died, under which they were killed, whether the Ogoni 9 or the Ogoni 4, whether they were killed by the state or an angry mob, nobody deserved to die. Certainly not Ken Saro Wiwa, certainly not Edward Kobani, certainly not the Oragi brothers. It's been a very painful thing. So if you want to dispense justice, if you want to make restitution, you have to do it to touch all the people, all the principal characters. I know a lot of people were killed in Ogoni at the time, quite a lot, by some estimates of 2,000 people. But the focus has been on these principal characters, the former leaders of MOSOP. The entire Ogoni Force 11 was wiped out, as it were. It was a very tragic and terrible situation that Ogoni had to face. So the issue here is that if you are making restitution, we don't want to go into the debate about pardon or exoneration. No, I'm not going into that debate. Because that is a lot of legal things that I don't think I'm very qualified to handle. But let's look at it. The principle of it, that the president wanted to make restitution for grave mistakes, for grave human rights violations that have been committed by the Nigerian state under the military. So the president, well-meaning as he is, and he continues to be, should address the issue across the board. He should address the issue of the Ogoni 4. These families are in pain, all right? Something also has to be done for them. Okay, what did they deserve to be killed the way they were killed? So that is the issue. And I think the Ogoni people will keep pressing until Ogoni 4 also gets justice. Since there was no proper trial, we do not know who was guilty and who wasn't guilty. Because due process was not followed. The due legal process was subverted by the military administration. They were given a period of appeal, which they did not allow. And a military court, you cannot really expect the best of justice in a military tribunal. But what tried them under the aegis of this was actually a military tribunal. It was a military court. It was not a civil court that follows all the jurisdiction, all the protocols of trial, okay, of judicial trial. So we don't know who was guilty and who wasn't. One thing I know, I'm sure of, is that Chief Ogoni didn't commit any crime. Saro Wiwa didn't commit crime. The other guy, Mr. AKPOBARI, didn't commit any crime. The other brother didn't commit any crime. These are the key leaders of MOSOP. What I know is that whatever justice was meted out to all these men, whatever they faced, it wasn't fair. To be able to establish guilt, there has to be a proper trial process. Okay? Proper trial process, which didn't take place. Okay? And so, even if there were some people among the other 8 who were guilty, you can't establish it. We cannot establish it because they weren't subjected to proper trial. When the law is in doubt, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. That is exactly the position of the law. Oil exploration or oil production stopped in Ogoni in April 1993 when the Ogoni movement or the Ogoni struggle broke out. And ever since, there have been efforts here and there, several efforts to bring about reconciliation between Ogoni and the oil companies, especially Shell, so that oil production could continue. Okay. But that didn't work out. It didn't work out at all. And I hope, and I think that the president meant well when he invited the Ogoni leadership to discuss the matter. The position of the Ogoni people are not being to completely shut off Ogoni from oil production. But there have to be procedures. Okay? In the world of today, you know about the principle of free, prior, and informed consent. That has become the doctrine in international law for the exploitation of resources in indigenous communities. The consent has to be of the people has to be sought, okay, and that consent has to be given freely, and then it has to be before you commence operation, and it has to be with informed people. All right, that is the doctrine of free, prior, and informed consent. It's not a matter of gathering some people who are not well informed and signing any form of document with them and so on. The people have to understand what they are doing, the implications of their action. Okay, so that is that principle. And I think that is what the government should be doing, and I suppose even if they didn't intend to use that concept, that is what they intended to do. And so the Ogoni people gave a list of demands that there have to be confidence-building measures for the kind of adversarial position situation that existed between the Ogoni people, the oil companies, and to some extent, the Nigerian state. Because Ogoni people, ever since what happened, the massive human rights violation that occurred in Ogoni and the death of our people, the Ogoni people have become very, very skeptical. All right? They become quite suspicious of every action of the Nigerian state. It was as if they don't trust the Nigerian state, not as if they wanted to exit the Nigerian state, but they viewed most government actions with suspicion. And so that is the kind of ice that I think the president wanted to break. by discussing with the people. But those confidence building measures, when people have been at loggerheads for some time, you have to do something that will bring them together. And that is what MOSOP and the Ogoni leadership sought to do by requesting the government, yes, we haven't opposed the exploration of oil, the extraction of oil in Ogoni, but to build confidence that you are ready to accommodate the people, you are ready to listen to them, and that you are ready to actually make them benefit from the resources of their land. You have to do X, Y, Z for us. We are ready. And anytime you are able to do that, the coast will be clear. So those things were done, a list of demands, they were quite modest, given to the government. But these things have not been done. You could see the East-West Road from Eleme Junction. That was one of the key issues. Ordinarily, it shouldn't have been an Ogoni issue, because that road connects Nigeria's economic heartland. But unfortunately, it is the road that leads to Ogoni. And if you travel to Ogoni, especially the period before now, there has been some amelioration because one side of the road, they are walking on one side and they've been busy walking on that side. Although the latest report I had is that they are removing their equipment. I don't know what the matter is. So imagine the state of that road has not still been done. In fact, there was even some argument or a rumor that the government, through the instrumentality of the Office of the Minister of Works, wanted to award the other lane, the other side of the road, to a different company. Have you seen that sort of thing? All right? One road, two separate contracts. One walking one lane, the other company walking the other.
The presidential pardon, the posthumous honor, were not part of our struggle. We had a Bill of Rights that contained, the legitimate demands of Ogoni people. These other things that happened, the killing, the genocide in Ogoni, and that led to this announcement yesterday, were fallouts of our struggle that we did not anticipate when they were, designing the Ogoni Bill of Rights. So these are, if you ask me, they are things that we did not expect that happened. And so you cannot say that because those announcements were made, that our struggle has ended. No, more so, we were not asking for pardon. You can only pardon somebody that committed an offense. This man was not even nowhere near where that incident that he was killed for happened. And you rode him into the gallows to kill him. If there is any person that needs a pardon, it's the federal government that needs pardon from Ogoni. It is the Ogoni people that should grant the federal government pardon for the atrocities committed in the land, for devastating our environment, for committing genocide. Over 2,000 persons were murdered in cold blood in Ogoni. So there are people that were burnt in their houses. The military officers that committed those offenses are walking on the streets of Nigeria freely, obey your mind, and all the rest. They are walking freely on the streets of Nigeria. It didn't be so. Mr. President is aware of everything that happened. I was expecting that yesterday he will set up a panel to review the kangaroo military, trial of Saro Wiwa, that tribunal, to review, so that, from there they can be exonerated. I was also thinking that he will set up a panel that will look at the military occupation of Ogoni, the whole thing that happened, so that the military officers who committed genocide in Ogoni will be put on trial, will be prosecuted here, and they pay dearly for it. I was expecting that the cleanup, ongoing cleanup, that the federal government will talk about it, because I'm a member of the governing council of AKPOBARI, of the cleanup, and I know that $1 billion was earmarked as takeoff grant by UNEP, those that conducted that audit, and I'm aware that the companies have contributed money, those that polluted Ogoni have contributed money. But the government of Nigeria, the federal government of Nigeria, as a government, is yet to contribute 1 kobo to that cleanup. Yes, the refineries that pump their waste into Ogoni River may have contributed anything. But the government, I want to hear, and I was expecting that the government will do that yesterday, that, okay, I'm giving IPREP 150 billion US dollars to fast track, to support what they are doing in Ogoni, and for them to immediately conduct environmental audit in other Niger Delta states, because Ogoni will not be clean until Niger Delta is clean. Ogoni is not an island. Bayelsa is polluted more than all parts of this country. Ekiti, Fiber State is polluted. Several places are polluted. Delta State was. We need to, begin to conduct environmental audit, assessment in all these states, especially now that those that are polluted are running away from the Niger Delta in the name of divestment. When will that happen? I was expecting that the president will talk about that yesterday, because the Niger Delta is a mess. You cannot just be remembering Niger Delta and Ogoni when you want to take oil, because I'm quite sure that the pardon and the award that they gave is tied down to oil. And the dead man does not need an award. What will you need? What will you use the award for? And why was the Ogoni 4, the first chiefs, not considered for the award? They were all very important pillars of the Ogoni struggle. In fact, Chief Edward Kobani was the first vice president of MOSOP. So the Ogoni 4 cannot be separated from the 9 at this point that we are talking about healing. And we know that our brother Goodluck Jonathan was the president for 5 years, and he did not talk about this Saro Wiwa issue. He did not even talk about the cleanup that Buhari did. However, the government committed state murder and genocide in Ogoni. And we think that the right thing should be done. It is the Ogoni people that should grant pardon to the federal government of Nigeria, not the government of Nigeria granting pardon to us. They are the people that offended us. They are the people that occupied our land with the military and killed people and destroyed our means of livelihood, destroyed Ogoni by extension. And now you come to say that you are granting me pardon. How? So if your car jam me and you take me to the hospital to treat me, have you done me any good? I was working on my own. We were successful fishermen and farmers before the oil business came to destroy what we were doing. Then you came and called us murderers and criminals, and now you say you grant us pardon. I think that is an insult. You see, when government begin to move in this manner, I suspect them the more. If Ogoni were just seated and the government came to give us the university, fantastic, I will clap hand for them. But when you give a university because you want to take something, that is a Greek gift. That's what it is called. It is not from the mind of the government. They are doing that because they need something, and that is very wrong. And what is a university? Bishop Oyedepo has 2. One person has 2. University that they are approving for their girlfriends and their friends, that we gave one to Ogoni, and so the whole world to other places that they cite university. Did they give them oil well? How many oil wells in Abuja where the money is being spent? So nobody should begin to tell us, we are giving you university, we give you CON. So oil should begin to flow. That's an insult. Can that equate to the head of Saro Wiwa? Not to talk about this thing. State murder was committed. People were just, government conspired to kill people, innocent people, forced to die. They have not even apologized. They don't even feel remorse for what they did. It wasn't Tinubu that killed them, but he is sitting on that throne now. So all the load is on him. He has to apologize on behalf of the government of Nigeria for what they did in Ogoni. I think they are yet to scratch the surface of this whole thing. All their eyes on oil, but I don't think we are very close, anywhere close to that oil. Well, it is said that if you are going on a journey and you discover that you are not on the right track, that you took the wrong road, no matter how far you have gone, you have to come back. The government needs to go back to the drawing table to look at this whole thing concerning the Ogoni people. Properly, the right thing must be done. The families, the 4, the 9, because Ogoni is divided along this line, must the United States, there must be healing first internally. Then look at the legitimate demands of the Ogoni people. You know, Ogoni is a distinct ethnic nationality with different language. We have our own language. We have our own culture. We have been in this state since the creation of Rivers State. No Ogoni have been governor. No Ogoni have been deputy. No Ogoni have been speaker. No Ogoni have been chief judge. The four most important offices in life. What did we do? So it didn't only oil you want to take, but when it comes to this political patronage, you will take care of. They don't matter. We matter. We are in the majority of Rivers State. So they have to look into all these things. When you have removed all these things, right now there is still blood on the oil of Ogoni. Ogoni oil is not like any other oil. There is blood on it. If the government think that it is like any other oil, it's a lie. People were forced to die. If now they only know about cancer, who are 8 others and the 4. What of the other 2,000 people? There must be adequate compensation, consultation with the families of those that died, and compensate them adequately. These are the things that should be done. Scholarship given to their children or their relations, and all that, and several other things. You know that they are yet to scratch the surface. They are just we are not games that they are playing.
Inside the Niger Delta,